Max Simons was an unassuming figure. The kind of guy who lived the quiet life, tucked away in the suburbs with a neat lawn, a minivan in the driveway, and a warm routine. Each morning, he kissed his wife on the cheek, tousled his son's hair, and left with a travel mug of coffee. His neighbours knew him as a mid-level administrator in the army, important enough to need clearance, but not the kind of job that brought Hollywood-style excitement. That's how Max liked it. Routine, predictable, and safe. But that was a facade. Max Simons had secrets. Behind the high walls and steel gates of his nondescript army base, after the retinal scans and biometric checkpoints, Max stepped into a world few knew existed. His department wasn't just secret. It didn't officially exist. A joint operation between the CIA and the Department of Defense, it was a black budget project, buried so deep that not even the president's briefings mentioned it. Max wasn't just an administrator. He was the guy they called when things got weird. The call came late at night, a voice clipped and urgent on the other end. "Be on time tomorrow. We have something for you." Max didn't ask questions. He knew better. The next morning, the base buzzed with tension. Max felt it the moment he stepped through the final security gate. Faces were tight, voices hushed. He was ushered into a room he'd never been in before, with faces he didn't recognize. Brass, he thought. High brass. The air felt thick with unspoken words. Colonel Redding, his commanding officer, opened the meeting. The man was a no-nonsense bulldog, and when he spoke, every word hit like a hammer. "Last night," Redding said, "the Air Force intercepted an unidentified craft over US airspace. We brought it down." A murmur rippled through the room. Max sat up straighter. This wasn't the usual cloak and dagger intelligence briefing. Redding's gaze swept the room, his next words delivered with the weight of a sledgehammer. "The craft's occupant survived. We have an alien, and it's alive." Max's heart hammered in his chest. Redding wasn't prone to hyperbole. If he said it, it was true. And that meant, no, it couldn't be. But it was. Max barely had time to process the briefing before he was called to his next task. Years ago, he'd written a theoretical handbook, a what-if guide for first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. It had been a mental exercise, a thought experiment to keep himself sharp. He never imagined he'd use it. Yet here he was, standing outside a secure observation room, staring at something that defied understanding. The alien was tall, with a humanoid frame, but features that belonged to no earthly creature. Its skin shimmered faintly, like oil on water, and its almond-shaped eyes seemed to pierce through Max. He felt exposed, like the creature could see every secret he'd ever kept. "My name is Max," he said, keeping his voice steady. "What's yours?" The alien tilted its head, as if amused. Its voice, when it spoke, was resonant and strange. "Do you know what forces you are tampering with, Max Simons?" The interrogation began, but Max quickly realized he wasn't in control. The alien's words cut through him, sharp and calculated. It described its mission, to study Earth and its inhabitants, with a detached curiosity that chilled him. When Max asked about the ship's technology, the alien's tone turned scornful. "You humans," it said, "are predictable, always seeking to take, to exploit. You find something new, and your first thought is how to weaponize it." Max bristled. "What would you do in my place?" The alien's eyes seemed to gleam. "We have dealt with many species. Some we collaborate with, others..." It trailed off, its meaning clear. Max pressed harder. He needed to understand the ship, the technology, the alien's purpose. But the creature deflected, its tone mocking. "Your intelligence is too primitive. You wouldn't understand." Max's frustration boiled over. "We have ways to get what we need." The alien's expression shifted, almost pleased. "I expected that," it said. "You think you can extract knowledge through force, but knowledge is not something you can take. It is something you earn." Eventually, the alien agreed to cooperate, with conditions. It wanted to see the wreckage of its ship. Reluctantly, Max arranged for an escort. 2 guards flanked the creature as it entered the secure hangar, where the UFO fragments were stored. Max followed, his stomach churning. Inside the hangar, the alien approached a console. With a few gestures, a shimmering display materialized in the air. The alien's voice turned cold. "Your species is interesting, Max Simons, but you are weak, predictable." Max watched, unease clawing at him, as the alien manipulated the display. "What are you doing?" he demanded. The alien didn't answer. Its body began to glow, the light intensifying until Max had to shield his eyes. "Prepare yourselves," the alien said, its voice reverberating in the hangar. "You will be enslaved, or you will be destroyed. Change your ways or face extinction." And then it was gone. The after briefing was grim. NASA had intercepted a transmission, a warning broadcast from somewhere deep in space. The message was clear. Humanity's time was running out. Max sat in silence, the weight of the alien's words pressing down on him. For years, he had worked in secrecy, protecting his country from unseen threats. But now, for the first time, he wondered if they were truly prepared for what was coming. Somewhere, out in the vastness of space, something was watching, waiting. And Max knew the real fight was just beginning.